next speaker is Amit. Amit has more than a decade of proven field experience in security, vulnerability research, and low-level internals, kernel, or whatever you want to call it. He's basically a low-level researcher. He does Windows, Linux, OS X, embedded. Am I missing anything?
You're good.
I'm basically just
Even
saying
too much.
all the platforms available.
You said too much.
I guess
Thank you. Okay. Can you guys hear me okay? Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, awesome. So first of all, thank you for staying and hanging with us. I really appreciate that. Yeah, there's more, there's more. Yeah, so this is this is a small, whoa. Yeah, small token of appreciation from the owl. Okay, so, okay, no more.
No more.
Yeah, okay, so thank you all, and today I'm going to be talking to you about OS X Spirit, which is an OS X adware variant I discovered a short while ago. Literally a week ago, Apple rebranded OS X, and it's now called macOS, like it was 20 years ago. So they kind of fucked up my slides. Since it was so hot today in this room they call the sauna here, I'm going to be using a lot of profanity and swear words. I hope you guys are okay with that. Okay, so adware is something that's really annoying, and it's always being looked down upon. People think, oh, it's just adware, it's nothing important, it just displays ads. Who gives a shit, right? So before that, let me introduce myself. Hi, everybody. My name is Amit, and I am from here, from Tel Aviv. And in a month from now, this is going to change because I'm moving here, and this is Boston, and this is going to suck. So yeah. This is what I'm doing, my bio. Who cares, right? You might have seen the work I did with Alex, also my pal from Cybereason, last year with the hacking team server research. If you haven't, it's on those convenient links I provided, so you're welcome to check that out. Before that, I was a civil servant, and you're invited to follow me on Twitter. Okay, so you know what really grinds my gears? And adware. It really pisses me off. I came to a full realization that I fucking hate that. It is the most annoying thing known to man. Now, do we have anyone here that works for a company that makes adware? Because I really hate the fuckers that make them also. Often adware are being treated as PUP or poop or whatever you want to call it, and PUP stands for potentially unwanted programs. Now, after this talk and after what I'm going to show you here, you're going to realize that there's no such thing as potentially unwanted. You just don't want it, period. So this talk I'm presenting here is based on a guest blog post I wrote on Objective-C.com. So if you don't know Objective-C, it's Patrick Wardle's website, and he makes a lot of Mac security tools. So if you have a Mac and you care about it, be sure to visit his website. And his blog is really awesome, and I had the privilege of being the first, and I think by now the only guest post there. So also, it's a really long link, so I just made this. It's period.amit, which is my name, .wtf, which is what the fuck. So be sure to check that. Yeah, so a very, very short intro to what is adware in case you weren't around or living under a rock in the past 15 years. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to basically go on and talk about Parrot and what it does. So adware and what is it, right? So there was a very, very good talk Veronica, right? Yeah, so there was a very, very good talk here when I think it was the first talk about adware, really interesting. So Veronica presented something very similar to that. So basically, a lot of the times when you're downloading a program, when you're going to one of those Softonic or download.com websites, you often download something from them, and they tell you, hey, you know what, you downloaded this Flash player, but how would you like to get some herpes with it? Because this is how I call adware. Adware is really like, it's exactly like herpes, although there's been some really, very interesting advancements in my research on Parrot in the last week that sadly I cannot share them, and it's more like, it's not herpes, it's something more violent. It's more like AIDS by now. So yeah. So basically, you download the program and they tell you, hey, you know what, you got the Flash player, but if you'll check these checkboxes, you'll get some awesome offer with it. And you'll go, hey, wow, I really want Babylon toolbar because I really fucking hate myself, so I'll just go on and install that. And this is how you get herpes. So yeah, so always, exactly like Veronica said, always check what you're doing and check what checkboxes are checked, and check yourself before you wreck yourself. Oh God.
You're going to love Boston. You're going to love it.
Yeah. Okay. So adware, right? It's just something that sits on your machine and just displays ads. And the way I divide adware, I divide it into three because I was in the army sometime, and we do that. We divide things into threes. So the first category is like the plain and stupid, right? It just displays ads. It doesn't have any context. You just surf on the web, and all of a sudden you get this really interesting offer to get your male organs enhanced. So this was very popular like 10, 12, 15 years ago, but it's not anymore, I think. The second category is what I call the norm. And it displays banners and ads and pop-ups and pop-hunters and all of those, but it gathers some basic metrics from your browsing behaviors. So let's say if you're buying a lot of shoes, you'll get ads for shoes. Or if you like to enhance your male organs, you'll get that eventually. So yeah. And the third category is what I call the Black Ops operative, which basically does all of that evil shit, and this is what I'm going to show you. And it's basically, it installs a hidden user on your machine, it redirects all of your traffic, it plants ads in the pages that you visit, and it also replaces the legitimately placed ads in the pages. It replaces them with the people that are running this with their ads, and that's, by the way, that's stealing. So it's bad, right? The stealing part is bad. So as I said, I'm talking about Macs, right? I am, sadly, I'm fully converted. I'm a Mac guy. This is what I make my living off. So adware on Mac used to look like this, or usually looks like this. It's basically just this browser extension. This specific example is Spigot. It basically just, it's a toolbar. Sometimes you can see it, sometimes you can't. And it tracks your behavior, and it shows ads. And if you want to remove it, what you usually do is you click the uninstall button here, and this is usually how you get rid of adware. It's very simple, right? This specific example, again, Spigot, it also installs launch agents that you can see here. Now, launch agents on MacSpeak is autoruns. So. And it's saved in those plist files. So basically, if you go on and delete and remove these files, that's it. You got rid of it. Game over, and you can return to your ordinary boring life. And I'm going to share with you what happened and how it happened. So basically, the story was like this. I was at home doing nothing special, and I usually hang around in this IRC channel. It's OSXRE on Freenode, and all of a sudden this guy popped in and said his nickname was Cyano, and he said, hey, you know what, my friend's Mac is acting really weird. It's really slow. The browsing, it looks weird, like I'm getting a lot of ads. And I looked at some processes, and I have those really weird processes that I don't know what are they and how I got them. And he also said that he's a Linux guy, not a Mac guy, so he asked for our help. We asked him to share with us, to give us the process list and what he has there, and we noticed that there was a strange executable called Sizzling. Now, we asked him to share with us this binary, and he did. So at that moment, another guy from the channel, Paraxor, that was his nickname, he started reversing this executable, and he posted a screenshot with some function names to the channel. Now, can you see this? Can you read? Awesome. It says adds proxy engine, : adds proxy engine, and HTML injected. And everybody said, that's adware. That's adware. Who gives a shit, right? But this really caught my attention, not the fact that it was necessarily an adware, but what caught my attention were these types. As you can see, I clearly marked them. Now, these types was the QString type. Now, a QString is a type from Qt. Did anybody here ever develop something with Qt? Oh, that sucks, right? That's terrible. I hate Qt. I loathe Qt. So for those of you that don't know, the QString is this class that represents strings and Q everything in Qt. And if you don't know what Qt is, I'll give you a short explanation of what it is. So Qt, which is actually, it's supposed to be pronounced cute, but it's definitely not cute. It's disgusting. It's this platform that allows you to write code with it and just have one code base and then compile it for either Windows, Linux, Mac, I think even Android. I'm not quite sure. But it basically allows you to say, hey, I want to have this product, and I want it to work on Windows, on Linux, and on Mac, and it makes it very easy. But there is a cost. And the cost for that is that you get a whole bunch of external libraries, DLLs, dilibs on Mac, and all of those. You get them bundled to your package, which makes it very large and cumbersome to copy stealthily to another machine. So this is Qt. Now, around that time, a guy on the Mac Rumors forum opened a thread, and he said, what is the unillumination process on Mavericks? Now, Mavericks is an old version of OS X, or Mac OS. And he said, I have this weird, he basically told the same story. My machine is acting weird. I'm seeing a lot of weird processes that I don't know. And he uses this thing. So this is the little snitch firewall for Mac. And he posted the screenshots, and he said, look, I have this process that I don't know what it is, unillumination. It opens a fuck ton of connections, as you can see here. These are the ones that were blocked. You have 702 connections that were successfully reached their destination. And he said, I have no idea what this process, and as you can see here, I'll try to zoom, oh yeah. You can see that the user is Tarkin, and this guy said, well, not only that I don't know what this process is, I definitely know that my username isn't Tarkin, and I have no idea who Tarkin is. And then he shared with the forum a screenshot of where this unillumination binary is. Now, this is a Mac OS app bundle. So in OS X, you have bundles. So you have the app, it's a directory, like something.app. And inside this directory, you have the binary executable, and you have also its dependencies, like libraries and resources and the icons and everything. So you can see that there are a lot of Qt-related stuff, right? You have the Qt core framework over there at the top, and then you have a whole bunch of Qt plugins right here. So as I said, it was a Qt project, and it has a fuck ton of Qt-related stuff in it. Ah, interesting. So the first thing that was very interesting for me to research is these two. So in every Mac bundle directory, you'll have the, can you see the pointer? You have the contents directory. So this is unillumination, this is the root, right? The unillumination.app directory. Inside you have the contents directory, and inside the contents directory you have another directory that's called macOS. And inside this directory you have the executables. So you can see that there is an executable here, and there is the script. So the first thing I did was to look at these two because it was the most interesting thing, right? So the first thing I did was to look at the string table. Now, may I remind you, this is a Mac executable. This isn't supposed to be there. This is a Windows registry key. There's no reason for that to be there. But this says HK local machine software, period. So at that moment, I was like, I was tweeting on Twitter. I was like, oh, hello, Parrot. What are you doing on OS X? And like, why would you put this string over there? So this actually made me think that I was in the right direction. Something here is cross-platform. So I continued looking at the string table, and I saw this URL. So since I'm a researcher, and what I do is to Google stuff, I Googled this URL, and I only got one result out of Google, and it was a link to the Joe Sandbox. It was a report, and by the way, I highly recommend this Sandbox. But this was a Windows PE executable, so this wasn't for Mac, and this URL was also inside this PE executable. So again, I was in the right direction. I was like, hey, somebody took this, and now he cross-compiles it to Mac. So because, you know, stupid people use Macs. So I went to this website. I went to this URL, shorte.st. I had no idea what it is. And I saw that it's basically a service that allows you to monetize web traffic, right? Send someone a link that's shortened to this link, and somebody gets paid. Like, users visit your page, they see ads, you earn money. Okay, so I was like, maybe there's even a click-jacking campaign here. Like, somebody's definitely making money off of that. So again, I had Parrot. This is all I had. I had no idea what Parrot is. So as I said, I just Googled. And all I got was like adware Win32 Parrot, how to remove Parrot suggester, and everything was Windows related. There wasn't anything about Mac. So I guess I was in the right direction, again. Now, when I looked at the script that was there, oh, I'm sorry, I got confused. When I looked at the binary before, it also had this function that was running the recovery script, which is that script that was attached to the bundle. And this is the contents of the script. Okay, this is what it is. There's a variable that's called hidden pass, and it's test for some reason. There's a hidden user ID, which is 401. There is a hidden name, which is something hidden user. There's a hidden home directory, and there are these bunch of commands that are running with sudo. Now, if you don't know what DSCL is, because it's Mac, so DSCL is the Directory Services Client on OS X. So this basically creates a user. It's like running add user or user add on Linux. So this is basically the same thing. It's pretty easy to figure it out, right? So basically what we had here is somebody that was creating a hidden user on your machine, but we couldn't figure out what the username is and what's it doing. There is just this script that's called the recovery script, but we don't know what it's recovering. So, like, this is really weird. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, I promised you that there will be profanity. Now, in Windows, it's very easy, because if you want to remove something, you just Google, and you get the suggestions. You just go to the control panel and programs and feature thing, right-click this, hit uninstall, that's it, you're done. But since I guess that I was the first guy that discovered this for Mac, so when I looked for removal instructions, I didn't find anything. Nobody in America figured that out. Nobody. So anyway, back to the story. Sayano, the guy from IRC, he was back with more. He found another app bundle that was called Demo Updater. So we wanted to look at that, and he mentioned that this app bundle was running under a different user, which he did not know, which again correlates with the guy from the Mac Rumors forum. Now, inside this app bundle, there was an x64 Mach-O binary. Now, Mach-O is the executable format for OS X, so Linux has ELF, Windows has PE, and Macs have Mach. Or, you know, it's Israel, we can say Mach. So it's Mach. Macho. And there was also a shell script that was called update2.sh. Now, that script was far more interesting than the previous one. There's a mess in my slides. So the first thing I did was to look at the binary that was there, the Mach-O binary. And there was like this treasure trove of disgusting shit inside. There was a whole bunch of hidden strings inside, but luckily the guys who did this, so this is pseudocode, right? So the guys who compiled it didn't strip the debug symbols, so it was very easy to understand what it's doing. So since I'm not that tall, I'll start from here. Basically, there was this was, you see, it's a domain variant C, domain variant B, A, and this is basically the domains that it's connecting to, and these are encrypted, and you can see that there is a function here called encrypt decrypt string, encrypt decrypt, and it decrypts these domains with these keys. So basically, these are the domains. Now, nothing legitimate looks like that. Yeah, just visit my website. It's www.93A5555-685cc. Nothing good can come out of this. And at this point, I was like, oh, fuck, there goes my night. Like, that's it, I'm not sleeping. So I continued looking through the file, and I saw a whole bunch of Windows crap again, like the registry path and the open process string and advapi and open process token string, and this is all Windows. We are not on Windows. Come on, guys, can you try and just, you know, do a decent job while you're at it? And what about that update script that I was talking about earlier? So when the executable finishes running, it calls this function. Sorry, confused. It was a hot day. When the executable finishes running, it executes this update2 script. Now this was it was a very, very, very large script. It has like 330 lines, and it even had some like Python code in it, so like Python-C and then a whole bunch of crap that it's doing with Python. So this is my wall of text slide. There's a whole bunch of disgusting thing going on in this slide, but then we're done. So bear with me. So basically, what the script does, it gets the machine's UUID, the unique ID of the machine, and it does it just by executing a command line program called ioreg, and then it spits out a whole bunch of output, and it parses it with awk and grep. It then sends the ID of the machine to one of those servers to get the malware ID back from the server, and it does that by issuing this curl command. So like nobody even tried making it stealthy. It's like, you know, Mac people are stupid. Nobody will notice this. So it basically just curls to this, again, very catchy URL that has a web service that gets the UUID as a parameter. And after it does that, it also validates your geolocation by, again, curling ipinfo.io/country, and it returns this two country code, like US, UK, and it checks if you're in one of those countries, US, UK, Spain, Australia, France, Germany, India, Italy, Netherlands, or New Zealand. And if you're from one of those countries, it downloads a different add package, and add package is how they commented in the script. It is then, again, updating the CNC server by issuing another curl command and say, hey, you know what? I did my thing. Everything was successful. This guy has herpes now. Now, after all this happens, the script curls it downloads another program, again using curl, and this program is called Demo Injector. Now, again, Demo Injector, inject, adds, proxy, all of these things started to correlate in my brain. So let's do a quick recap because I was talking very, very fast because I'm on a time here. So what do we know by now, right? So we know that it's an adware. We know that it generates traffic because a lot of people are saying that their machines are going berserk and their firewalls are blocking connections all the time. We know that it's cross-platform because we've seen all of those weird strings, right? So we know that somebody took this shit from Windows and brought it into the Mac world. We know that it runs processes with strange names, and the names are not identical, right? Because one guy had a process and it was called sizzling, the other guy had a process called unillumination. So there's maybe a bunch of variants, or I don't know, right? But this is what we know by now. But the most important question I kept asking, and people didn't know what to tell me, is how the hell did people get infected? Because, do they have some kind of zero day? Are they using exploits? Are they doing social engineering? How come so many people are getting infected? Now, if you've ever seen Lost and realized that you've wasted your 6 or 7 years out of your life, you probably know the reference that I'm going to do now, which is a flash sideways. So basically, I'm just going to flash sideways, and I'm going to tell you something that happened after all of this happened. So maybe it's a flash forward, but this also was canceled. There's another show that was canceled, so yeah. So this guy, Noir from Twitter, he's at Noir from Space, if you can't see it. He posted this link to a Pirate dropper on his Twitter account. Now, I went and I clicked this link, and I got this. Nobody knows how they got infected. So, I put on my gloves, and I clicked the disgusting download button that reeks of herpes. And I got this. This is a PKG file. If you ever had a Mac, you probably seen this icon. This is an installer. So let's do, and then I tweeted, if nobody tells you how they got infected, and all of the websites are either crack or porn, other crack websites or, porn websites, well, just tell me. I mean, I'm not judging you. So, well, I am. I'm doing it right here. Yeah, great. Asshole. Okay, so what's a PKG file? So the PKG file is the Mac equivalent of the Windows MSI, the installer. It's nothing fancy. It's not a program. It's nothing really elaborate. It's basically just an archive. So in this case, an XAR extensive, I think it's extensive and not extensible archive format. It also, it featured this nice wizard with the useful EULA messages that you always accept and get herpes because of that. Now, another important thing that you should know about PKG files and Macs in general. So in the world of Apple, if you want to run something on your machine without getting weird pop-ups saying, hey, this program comes from an unverified source, is that if you're a developer, you have to pay Apple $99 and give them an excuse to give you a developer certificate to sign your binary so you could run it on other people's machines without getting weird messages just saying that you're trying to hack them. So a PKG installer also needs to be signed in order for it to run without weird messages. And the most important feature of all in the PKG file is that it has the ability to run the pre or post install scripts, and there's something that it's called a pre-flight script. So basically, when you double click the icon and the wizard opens, before you hit next, before you even do anything, you just open the file, it already runs scripts behind. So this is an awesome way if you're doing pen testing or you're an evil fucker that does this shit. So this is a very convenient way to drop stuff on Mac. So I just said that, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm on the clock. Now, in order to know if the PKG file that you're downloading is safe, you can do a whole bunch of command line foo. There's a lot of command line programs you can run that come with Mac, but it's very complicated and annoying, and it's Mac, so it has to be pretty. So allow me to recommend you this really, really cool program called Suspicious Package. You can get it from this URL. And basically, you can just drag PKG files into it, and it'll tell you all it knows about it. So it'll even tell you, if the cert is revoked, so you'll know that something bad is in this package. By the way, a very interesting anecdote that I'll also elaborate it closer to the end. If you can see, it claims to be signed by a developer ID installer called Keren Or. Now, wherever there's adware, there's some bad Israelis behind it. And all of the samples I found of Parrot and another adware that came from the same creators, another thing called Browser Enhancer. Everything had Israeli names, and it was like very generic names, and I'll show it later. But it means that somebody has not only the money to pay like $99 every time, but he also has the capability of like providing these forged documents to Apple, because you have to provide them some sort of identity. Now, another cool feature of Suspicious Package is that it can show you the scripts that are running behind the scene. So as you can see here in this, you can see that it's Microsoft Office 2016 crack, but it's not. It's just installing this video player, and it runs this pre-install script. And you can see here that it does VM detection. Now, correlating to the previous talk, you don't do VM detection unless you're an asshole. So I'll zoom in quite a bit. So you can see it does that. It just greps, right? It runs IOReg, and it greps the manufacturer string and the vendor name, and it checks if it's either a Parallels, VirtualBox, Oracle, or VMware. And if it returns true, so is VM equals 1, and it behaves differently. And you can see here that it also downloading another file and executing it. So basically, you just double-click the installer. You didn't do anything. It's only that you open the installer is enough. You could quit it, and already you're infected. So since I'm such a glorious hacker, I did this, and I just commented the script, and I did is VM 0, and holy shit, VM detection bypass. So yes. So just so that we could understand, because there's a lot of like stuff I'm dropping on you at the end of this very hot day. So this is the process, and if you can't see it, I'll just go through it. So the user downloads like some sort of crack or something, and he thinks, yay, I'm gonna screw Microsoft now because I have the crack. But he basically gets the package, so he gets screwed back. And when he double clicks it and opens it, this pre-install script runs that's actually screwing him behind the scenes. And this script downloads the demo updater component, which is what the curl was downloading at the lower end of the screen. And demo updater prepares the infrastructure for demo injector, so it uncovers the strings and decrypts them, creates some directories, things that aren't important, and then in the end, somebody's making money, and you have this really disgusting sores on your face. Herpes. So yeah, everybody has herpes. Everybody. I'm not judging. I'm not. Okay, so as I said, demo updater, it's the first component that's actually being installed by Parrot, right? And this is the component that lays the groundwork for the traffic hijacking proxy. Now, as we said earlier, a very common way to inject ads is to run code from inside the browser, But these guys took it to a whole new level of fuck you, and they basically installed a proxy server on your machine that hijacks your entire traffic and injects ads. So as Veronica said earlier, it's a very convenient way of exfiltrating data and see whatever it is you're doing. Because the proxy runs on your machine, but they have a root user on your machine, so they can do whatever they want. And this is also the script that generates the strange and random names, right? And it does that by doing so. So it basically just cats the dictionary file. It has a whole bunch of words in English with it, and then it just randomly selects a word, and this is your random app name, right? So nothing really fancy. I mean, I'm sure that the people who did this were Linux guys. They know nothing about Macs. And after the random name was generated, it's been written to a file called com.common.plist. Now, in case you don't know about Max, Max doesn't have the equivalent of the Windows registry, so it basically it has a bunch of plist files. They're basically just XML files, and sometimes they're binary, and they hold the data within them, and they have this reverse DNS notation names. So this is the equivalent of the registry, pretty much. So all of these properties are being saved in those files. Now, Demo Updater then creates another plist, not Demo Updater, sorry, the script. It creates another plist file that's called com.the random word that was selected .preferences. So, you know, if you'll see this file called com.something.preferences, it looks legit. So basically, you could write here apple.preferences, and it's okay, you're Apple now. I mean, nobody checks that. So this is how Mac is awesome.
When you have herpes, there's a problem with your pee.
Yeah. Oh shit, I have so much more. Okay. So, not important, just talked about it. The script goes on, and to hide itself, it also changes the name of the executable. So before it was like demo injector, but now it has a random name. Now the comments, I didn't add them, they came like this. So change the name of the exe file, I didn't write that, they did. So these people are still, you know, they're not on Windows. So basically what happens here is they're just laying the groundwork, and they're adding a bunch of autoruns that make sure that the stuff is running when you reboot your machine. I have to go through this really fast because I don't have time. Now, they're also adding, this is the autorun that they're adding. This is a launch daemon. So a launch daemon starts when you boot your machine, and a launch agent starts when you log in. So this is a launch daemon. So that means when you turn on your machine, they are running a script that's called /etc/change-net-settings.sh, which changes your net settings, right? And after they did all of the work behind the scenes, and they have generated the random names, and they have set the autorun, it's time to run the proxy and get cracking. Now the proxy is demo injector, as I said before. It's downloading it from this URL, and this, as you can see, DIT stands for demo injector, and the numbers were incremental. So they spun up to 8, and then like 2 days after I released my article and my analysis, they killed the server, so they read my stuff. So as I said, and this was the latest version, I have to run through this thing. Demo injector is also a Qt project. It also has a lot of shell scripts, and the most interesting one was install injector. It also generated a random company name, and this was the script that created the hidden user. So again, the hidden user, which we didn't know what it was before, is again same thing. Select a random word from the dictionary file, save it to the side, and then just, you know, put it in the variable. And the hidden password was always test. So this teaches us that I don't always test my code, but when I do, it's in production. So this is what they did. Okay, and what they did now, they did a very cool thing, and they had to hide their user. Now remember that their user had this really strange UID 401, and here, this again, it's commented, it says enable the hide 500 users attribute. So they went to this plist file and they changed the hide 500 users value to yes or true. And they did that to hide the user. Now, somebody Googled and read Mac documentation, which said, how do I hide a user? And they said, hey, just create a user and give it a UID under 500, let's say 401. and enable this flag, and you're all set. So when you're looking at your users list, and this is from my test VM, don't tell Apple because you're not allowed to do that. You can see that there's the test user here, and you can't see the hidden user. And this is the user management screen, and this is unlocked, so it means that I put in my root password, and the hidden user isn't there. So again, it's a feature, right? So now they're running the server. So they're loading the launch daemon, as I said. And in order for them to hijack your traffic, they have to redirect the traffic to the proxy that's running. Now, the proxy is running on localhost :9882. And in order for them to hijack your traffic, again, as I said, I'm sure that there are Linux people, so if you're familiar with Linux, you have IP tables, and with IP tables, you can do pretty much everything you want with traffic and packets. So basically what they did is they wrote a PF tool that it's right here. It's RDR pass inet proto TCP from the active interface. They have this disgusting method of finding out if you're on Wi-Fi or on the Ethernet port, and then just redirect everything from port 80 to localhost on 9882. So basically everywhere you go, they come with you and give you herpes. I'm almost done, don't kick me off the stage. And now it's installed. And the first ad I got was this. I know! And it offers you to download the MacKeeper antivirus, which is a fake antivirus. So don't get that because you get chlamydia. So don't. Okay, so I'm almost done. Please bear with me. As I said, the certs, they all had Israeli names. So Tal Gov here, Eran Tal over there, Shelly Bar over here. Now, none of these people exist, and I have a metric fuck ton of more examples of those. And I have a contact in Apple, and every day I was like, hey, this is the ID of the cert, get it, revoked it. So I sent it to Apple, Apple revoked it. 2 hours later, they have a new certificate. So it was crazy. I wrote a removal script. Some people had problems with it, so they told me to go fuck myself. I helped them, and then they said they changed it from fuck you to remove my settings. Conclusion, I'm done. Conclusion. Oh my God, I'm schwitzing here. Okay, so conclusion. Adware is malware. There's nothing nice about it. The fact that it doesn't steal your life, pretty much, doesn't mean that it won't do it in the future, and doesn't mean that it's something that it should be treated lightly. It is fucking obscene and bad, people, and I hate the people who do that. Thank you.